Secret project revealed? Jungkook secretly plans something. Jimin's reaction makes a scene. Face screaming in fear, the Korean entertainment world is again rocked by a news that comes without warning. There are no official teasers, no scheduled announcements, not even obvious leaks ahead of time. But that's precisely why this news feels so exciting. Jungkook, who has been known to be open on stage but secretive about his personal plans, is said to be working on a secret project. And what makes it all explode is not just the project itself, but Jimin's reaction as the plan slowly unfolds to the surface. At first, nothing suspicious. Jungkook's activities look as usual. He still appears in the schedule that is already known to the public, interacts warmly with the members, and greets fans with his trademark smile. But for the observant ARMY, there are small details that feel different. Jungkook is seen more often aloof, more immersed in his own thoughts. Several times he was caught on camera arriving early to the training site and coming home later than usual. No explanation. No reason was announced. Speculation began to surface when an anonymous staffer leaked that Jungkook had asked for additional time in the studio several times, even outside of the official schedule. He looks focused, serious, and very private. Unlike previous solo projects that slowly caught the public's attention, this time Jungkook completely closed all access. Even the closest people are said not to know the details of the plan he was putting together. This is where Jimin's name began to be dragged into the conversation. Not because he was directly involved in the first place, but rather because of his reaction when the secret project was finally accidentally revealed. According to the story, Jimin was one of the last people to know of Jungkook's plans. And when he found out, his reaction was far from ordinary. The moment happened simply, without a big stage or spotlight. Jungkook and Jimin are reportedly having a casual conversation in between their schedules. The conversation flowed as usual until Jungkook suddenly fell silent. There was an unusual pause. Jimin, who was already familiar with Jungkook's habits, immediately realized that he had something to say but was still detained. With a quiet tone, Jungkook finally opened up about the project he had been hiding. He did not elaborate on the technical details. He first talked about the reason. About the anxiety he has been feeling lately, about wanting to convey something more honest, more personal, and closer to his true self. Jimin listened without cutting, his eyes focused, his expression slowly changed. When Jungkook finally explained that the project wasn't just any music or performance, but something very personal, something born out of his own emotional journey, Jimin's reaction was immediate. He was silent long enough. His face showed shock mixed with other emotions that were difficult to explain. Not because of the scale of the project, but because of Jungkook's courage to take the step alone. It was this reaction that later became a heated discussion. Jimin did not immediately give a long comment, but his body language speaks volumes. He seemed to take a deep breath, then looked at Jungkook with a very intense expression. There was pride, there was worry, and there were deep emotions that he did not hide. For people who knew their closeness, the reaction felt very honest. Jimin finally responded with a simple sentence, but struck a feeling. He said that he did not expect Jungkook to shoulder all this alone. That he is proud, but also hopes Jungkook does not forget himself amid the ambition and honesty he wants to convey through the project. The sentence, although short, is said to have made Jungkook silent for a long time. News of Jimin's reaction spread quickly. ARMY immediately excited. Social media is full of theories, analysis, and speculation. Many believe that this secret project will be a major turning point in Jungkook's career journey. Not just as an idol, but as an individual who wants to tell his own story without filters. What made the situation even hotter was Jimin's change of attitude after learning of the plan. He is seen more often near Jungkook, more protective, and more attentive in small details. On several occasions, Jimin's gaze toward Jungkook looked different, deeper, more meaningful. This certainly did not go unnoticed by fans. Some ARMY speculated that Jimin might be emotionally involved, if not directly, in the project. Not as a formal collaborator, but rather as a support figure who understands Jungkook's inner process. This suspicion was further strengthened when several sources mentioned that Jimin had given personal input that was very meaningful to Jungkook, although it was not recorded in any form until now. The details of the secret project are still shrouded in mystery. There is no title, no release date, and no official confirmation from the agency. But it is precisely this uncertainty that makes enthusiasm even more heightened. ARMY felt that whatever Jungkook was preparing for, it was born from a very honest and emotional place. Jimin's reaction, which was called making a scene, was not because it was dramatic or excessive, but because of his sincerity. He does not try to control the narrative, nor does he close the emotions that arise. He reacts as someone who really cares. And in a world that is often full of strategy and imagery, such reactions feel exceedingly rare. For many fans, this story about Jungkook's secret project and Jimin's reaction is not just entertainment news. It is a story about the courage to take risks, about trust, and about the bond that allows one to go further without feeling alone. Whatever form the project will take, one thing is certain: the moment when the plan was revealed and Jimin's accompanying reaction have left a deep emotional imprint, not only for the two of them, but also for the millions of hearts who follow their journey from afar. The continuation of this story is precisely the part that most makes the public curious. After that conversation, Jungkook was not immediately seen taking a big step in public. It keeps going at its own pace, as if the secret project was not something to be announced, but something to be kept until it was completely ready. But small changes in him began to be felt more and more clearly. He looks more focused, calmer, but also brings a different aura of seriousness than usual. Many say, this is Jungkook who is in the most honest phase of his life. On the other hand, Jimin's reaction did not stop at a moment of sheer shock. In the days that followed, he became a figure who was secretly always there. Unobtrusive, not dramatic, but consistent. He accompanies Jungkook in silence, is present in tired pauses, and is the place Jungkook returns to when his mind is too full. Some of the staff mentioned that Jimin often made sure Jungkook was eating well, getting enough rest, and not sinking too deep into his own thoughts. Small things, but full of meaning. The sensitized ARMY begins to realize that Jimin's reaction is actually the most real form of support. He did not try to take the spotlight from Jungkook's project, nor did he insist on involvement. He chose to be behind the scenes, guarding and strengthening. It is this attitude that actually makes many fans even more emotional. They saw not just two great idols, but two human beings who understood each other's burdens. Speculation about the secret project has gone wild. Some thought it was a very personal piece of music. Others believed Jungkook was preparing something beyond the public's expectations, something that wasn't entirely about popularity, but rather about meaning. But whatever the form, one thing many people agree on is that the project was born out of a long emotional journey, and Jimin's reaction became an important part of that process. On several occasions, Jimin's expression when Jungkook was mentioned seemed to change. He does not argue, does not justify, but his gaze often speaks more than words. There is undisguised pride, there is reasonable concern, and there is confidence that Jungkook is stepping in the right direction. For fans, it was this reaction that made the story feel even more real and touching. Until now, Jungkook's secret project is still an enigma. But maybe that's where the power is. Not on what will be announced later, but on the silent process that comes with it. A process in which Jungkook dares to plan something from his own heart, and Jimin reacts not as a spectator, but as someone who really cares. And as long as this mystery has not been fully revealed, one thing is certain: Jimin's reaction has made this story lively, evocative, and difficult for anyone who follows it to forget.